Hey guys, I'm gonna start this off a little bit differently. I actually already recorded this episode, so I'm filming this after I've seen it, but I wanted to quickly apologize for this video. I kind of ended up having a really rough day, and I was really concerned about getting spoilers, and with school coming up, I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to see Chapter 8 in time to give a full reaction to it. So, unfortunately, I kind of watched it when I was completely exhausted and I was really stressed after a really bad day. So the reaction I'm going to see is definitely not one of my best. I was pretty much like emotionally dead. Like none of it really sat in my head. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to put that at the end of this, but even my thoughts are really jumbled at the end of it. But I wanted, now that I've been able to take some time and think about it and kind of let it fully impact me, I kind of realized exactly how emotional this episode is. And I wasn't in a situation where I could really get the full impact of those emotions at the time, but I guess I can more now. I don't know, my cat's doing something. But so I wanted to talk about them and in a way kind of re-react to these parts. Like I've seen them already, I've seen this episode, and if you want to skip past this, just click here, or yeah, just click the video and you can skip to when I saw my actual reaction, and I can put a link so you can skip back and see this at the afterwards if you really want to see it, or maybe I'll put it at the end as well. But it didn't really click for me exactly how much a lot of the things meant. Like I was just kind of at the point of the day where I was entirely just analyzing and not really feeling the show, which is something that I try not to do. It's something that I don't like to do because RWBY is something that is very personal for me. So that being said, I'm gonna go over select parts of this again, not the whole thing, because I don't want to re-react to the whole thing. That's just not what I'm. But this part especially, this is one of the main parts I wanted to talk about, and I won't have it playing the whole time. If I do, I'll have the audio very low.
Of course we have questions.
But
This is just
everything in Jaune's body language, and Nora and Ren, it hurts because now they understand.
Maidens. They're powerful fighters.
They understand what happened to her.
Yeah.
And there are 4 of them?
Yep.
Like Nora, she's so closed off and shy, which she's never like that. She's always exuberant and flying off the handle. She's holding her arm and sitting contained.
Best option is someone we can trust. Regardless, their souls become combined.
Like Osmond and Oscar.
What you were trying to do to Pyrrha the night the tower fell.
Gonna pause that there, but just the emotion in his posture.
Into one of them.
He's so hurt
The previous Fall Maiden, Amber, had been attacked. She was young.
because he feels guilty for it.
And her assailant,
And that's
who
something
we
I
now
started to
know
put
as
together,
Cinder,
but something that I
somehow
didn't
managed to steal some of her power.
completely put together at the time.
Afraid that if we didn't do something,
It didn't completely kind of piece itself together, but
So you forced it on Pyrrha.
we didn't
he's hurt.
force anything.
Look, like, I can't go back to that exact frame,
Explained the
but
situation and gave her a choice, and she chose. You were there. You heard her.
doesn't mean he doesn't feel guilty. Because this is Jaune arc. You said the right thing at the wrong time.
Tyrion. Why was he after me?
What if you had the opportunity to complete your destiny in a single moment, but at the cost of who you were?
And the fact that you're someone who was able to
The question she asked him while sitting alone outside of Beacon, leaning against the wall of the cafeteria surrounded by leaves because she couldn't tell anyone. She couldn't tell anyone about what was happening. They didn't let her. They had to keep it secret. So she couldn't tell any of them.
Why not just travel with us? Seems like that would have been way easier.
She,
Using him as bait.
and he's hurt because he understands now. what she was going through. Now he understands why she was hurting, why she was sitting there alone, why the last days he had with her, she was so distant and scared and unsure of herself. Because she didn't know what was going to become of her. I mentioned in the last episode that I was kind of confused with Ozpin about how he didn't know what would happen with Pyrrha and the other maiden if they merged their souls together, because that's essentially what happened with him and Oscar. But it seems like that's also what happens with the maidens. But I guess it was more the process of it being unnatural that he was concerned about. But just all of Jaune's body language, of Nora and Ren. They had 6 to 8 months. They didn't just lose a friend, they lost a family member. Nora and Ren, they're orphans. Ren lost his parents to the Grimm and Oniyuri. We don't know about Nora, but they've only had each other. No homes to go back to. They had a new family at Beacon. They had Jaune and Pyrrha. Jaune had someone who could believe in him, and who believed that he could be more than what everyone else told him. And she's gone. Of course he's hurt because he feels guilty. Because this changed everything. It wasn't just Pyrrha going up on the tower to protect him. It wasn't that. That's what he thought it was. That's what he told Nora and Ren. She felt responsible because Cinder had a power that she felt maybe she was supposed to. That maybe if she had accepted before the tournament, maybe things would have been different. Because she felt guilty. And he understands that. And he probably blames himself because he told her to do it. Not in so many words, but she probably would have come to the conclusion to become the Fall Maiden anyway. But outside of Beacon, she asked him, if you could fulfill it, but at the cost of yourself, would you do it? And his response is that the Pyrrha he knows would never pass up an opportunity to help someone, no matter what the cost. So that's what she was going to do. She went there willing to sign off her life, who she was. And he's realizing that he told her to do it. And as far as he is concerned, he is part of the reason that she is gone. She's no longer just a martyr. She's not just a casualty of the Battle of Beacon anymore. She was essentially a target. And when he asks Crow why they were even there in the first place, he's not entirely asking why the relics are there and why they're in danger. He's asking why she had to die. Why her? Why them? Why couldn't they have been one of the other schools? Why couldn't the relics have been put somewhere else? Why did Salem and Cinder have to attack Beacon? Their home.
RWBY's being hunted. The schools are being attacked. For what? What is the point of all of this? Will you just tell us what's going on?
he didn't get to find out before. He didn't know what was going on, and he lost her because he didn't know.
Many people are super interested.
Like,
The world's been around for a long time. Long enough that people have created dozens of gods.
it hurts because you can start to come to terms, and I bring this up later when I was doing my first summary, but you can start to come to terms with something. You can, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's something that happened. And then if you find out it's different, it really changes things. For example, when I was a kid, I was in London during the London bombing. I just thought it was an attack. I didn't know any different. No one told me any different. And when I was older, someone was like, that was a terrorist attack from this specific group. And it changed it. It became less of, oh yeah, I was there when some guy decided to set off a bomb. It was more of a, this was supposed to happen. People were supposed to die. And it's like, you have to come to terms with it all over again. And this wasn't 6 years later in this case like it was for me. This was 6 months, 8 months before they're even done grieving. He blames himself for what happened to her. She died because of things they didn't know about, because someone decided they weren't on the list of what you need to know, because they couldn't find out that she was in the running to become a maiden, because they didn't know that her life was in danger. None of it. It's why Pyrrha sat on the floor of the Vital tournament, and despite the fact that a Nevermore landed right in front of her, she just sat unmoving. Because she felt guilty. Like it was her fault. Before, it was just Jaune wishing he could have been there, instead of being the idiot stuck in the tree while his friends are off being heroes. He could have been there to protect her, instead of her going off and protecting him. He didn't realize how long she'd been protecting him for beyond that. All the secrets, all the lies that she had to keep. She was finally by their side again, and when Osmond showed up, she had to leave. His trust in Osmond and Crow immediately evaporated in that moment, and realizing that how much that he wasn't being told about his own partner. It's one thing to have her kiss him and him to realize how much she cares for him and have her die, but to realize that how much she cares for him, that she was keeping that while helping him with Weiss, that she was dealing with becoming a maiden while training him. All of it. And he feels horrible for it. I'm trying to find where it gets to Blake. I mean, the sad part is, even if I know it doesn't happen, when they brought up the artifacts, creation, my first thought was maybe they could bring her back. And I wouldn't be surprised if they found it. If they got the creation relic. And Jaune asked if they could bring her back. She had always been the one saying, "I'm sorry." Always. And now he feels like it's his turn, but he'll never get the chance. And then Blake and her father. She thought that they wouldn't love her anymore because of the things she said, the things she did, yelling at them and running off to stay in the White Fang after her father stepped down. Called them cowards and fools. She felt like she was no longer worthy of being their daughter. That these were two amazing parents. How could they have created someone like her? Someone who went down a dark path. And yes, she came back. And she knows that. And her dad knows it. But she still feels like she failed them. Like she isn't worthy to be a belladonna. And then Crow. And that's certainly a lot of emotions. But he was born unlucky. And he says doesn't works great for enemies. Not great for friends. For family. He probably had to stay away from Tai Yang and Summer and Raven and Yang and Ruby as much as possible. I mean, he taught at Signal, yeah. But at school, you can't get too hurt at a private training academy. But that's why he was so far behind Amber. Why he was trailing them. It wasn't that he didn't believe in them. He didn't want to ruin their chances. He didn't... The way he is leads to a lonely life because everything relies on luck. Everything. Especially, like, I'm trying to think of words right now, but if something bad happens, he would immediately feel responsible. And it makes sense. The glass stain over Summer's picture, the tear stains over him and his sister on the photo that he pulled out of Team Stark. If you're a walking bad luck charm, people are gonna blame you for everything. That being said, Jaune does not really have the right to say what he does to him. I don't remember the exact line, but he's like, "You're so helpful, aren't you?" Or, "That's unfortunate." I know he's hurting, that he feels betrayed by Crow, by Ozpin, by Glinda, Ironwood, Beacon, the school, even himself, Pyrrha. I know he's lashing out, but that's still... I'm just gonna cry about Pyrrha Nikos if I keep going. So, if you watched through this, enjoy me crying. If you didn't, the rest of the reaction will start up after this. But for those of you who did watch this, sorry. And it'll be starting the actual full reaction will be playing in like 5 seconds. But there's a lot of emotion in this episode. It's from Blake feeling like she wasn't good enough, Crow feeling he's to blame, Nora and Ren losing another family, and Jaune finding out exactly what happened and how his partner was somehow braver than he imagined, willing to sacrifice herself on his word and the chance of being to protect innocent people. How much it hurts knowing that. I feel like the statement, ignorance is bliss. Don't know about the maidens, you don't know about the relics. You don't know about why. When she was on that rooftop, the last thing she said was, "Do you believe in destiny?"